First, you need to start with a Tunisian crochet foundation row that has an even number of stitches because this is a 2-stitch repeat and it's a 1 row repeat. So this is a very easy stitch to do and remember. So the 2 stitches we will be repeating over and over is the Tunisian simple stitch and the Tunisian twisted stitch. So first, start with a Tunisian simple stitch, and then I will show you how to do the Tunisian twisted stitch. So it is the exact opposite of a simple stitch. With a simple stitch, you're inserting your hook from right to left and then yarning over and pulling up a loop. But for the twisted stitch, you need to insert your hook from left to right. And I like to use this part of my hook to pull up that stitch. So use that and insert your hook from left to right and then yarn over and pull up a loop. And that's how you do the Tunisian twisted stitch. And then this is what the rib stitch looks like with those 2 stitches worked together. So I'll show you that again. You start with a Tunisian simple stitch and then you work a Tunisian twisted stitch. You insert your hook from left to right and then yarn over and pull up a loop. I'll show you that again. Tunisian simple stitch and then a Tunisian twisted stitch. And if you're having trouble going from left to right, you can always loosen up that stitch by inserting it like you're doing a Tunisian simple stitch and then tug on it a little bit. And then you can insert your hook right through there, yarn over and pull up a loop. That is another way you can do it. So you can do whatever is easiest for you. So Tunisian simple stitch and then Tunisian twisted stitch. Tunisian simple stitch, Tunisian twisted stitch. And I'll show you again. You insert it like you're going to simple stitch and stretch it out. Then you can insert your hook just like that. And then Tunisian simple stitch, and then the twisted stitch again. So you're just repeating those 2 stitches all the way across, and then you work your stitch on the end of your work. And now I will work my return pass. And you just keep repeating that same row over and over for as many rows as you would like. And I will do another row of that and show you again. So you start with a Tunisian simple stitch, and then you work a Tunisian twisted stitch by going from left to right through that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Tunisian simple stitch, Tunisian twisted stitch, simple stitch, twisted stitch, simple stitch, and I'll show you again how to do that twisted stitch by stretching that stitch out and then using your thumb to kind of make that loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. Simple stitch, twisted stitch. Simple stitch, twisted stitch. And then you work your last stitch on the edge and your return pass. Whoops. And I will do that one more time. Okay, so you start with a Tunisian simple stitch, and then you work a Tunisian twisted stitch. Simple stitch, twisted stitch. Simple stitch, twisted stitch, simple stitch, twisted stitch, simple stitch, twisted stitch, and then you work your stitch on the end and your return pass. And after you work a few rows, you can start to see that rib stitch a little better. And that is how you do the Tunisian rib stitch that uses the Tunisian twisted stitch.